Hey folks, I'm Taco, and I am here to give a little update. I figured while I'm giving a little update on the coffee trees, I'll update you on the rest of my plants as well. Last time I filmed, I had an issue where my video just cut short. I'm not sure why. I'll keep this video brief, not to run into that same issue, because it went about 7 minutes, and then it just shut off. So I was potting up coffee trees and got through the one, got it cleaned up. Unfortunately, not all those gotten cleaned up. I did the scratch test and found that many of them just weren't alive. So only three made it, and I'll show you what those look like as well as updating you on the rest of my indoor tropical trees. So, starting here, we'll start with those coffee trees. Only three made it. The rest of them just didn't have any life to them, and these hopefully will, even though they don't look great. And as you can tell, I don't have a whole lot of space for more trees in my plant room. I don't have grow lights over here. So, for example, the pomegranate is just hanging out back here, keeping it damp, but not too damp. Um, but it doesn't need bright direct light while it doesn't have leaves. So that one's just kind of recovering, just the same as these coffee trees will. I am hoping that they'll grow some good leaves and I can keep some of my branching here, but we'll see. These are just cuttings from a Portula caryophyra, which is fine. And behind there is some cuttings from a ficus. I don't think that they rooted and took, but I'll just keep trying. This is my triangle fig, and it's looking okay. It's not growing very well, but it is alive, so I'll take it. And then behind that is the Schefflera. That is doing okay. It had a couple little new leaves, didn't make it because I wasn't here over the weekend. They dried up. Um, but I've been doing a very good job of making sure there's lots and lots of water in these. They're actually bar mats. So that's helped these all survive. Here is my goldfish forest. As of now, it's kind of defoliating itself, and I'm not sure if that's because I treat it for pests or because it got too cold or what, but it's possible it just needs to heal and grow again. So none of them are dead. They all look very good. I just need to have new growth come out. Like this one has some very good new growth right in there. This, I'm not sure what's new or not because it's hard to tell, but I'm confident that this particular forest will do fine. In the back, I've got the how do I say it? The mangrove style ficus ginseng. Again, letting that grow, letting all these branches just kind of come out. They seem to be coming out just fine, but that was only a short period of time ago. Next to that is my ogre ear crassula, ogre ear jade. Again, looks fine. Haven't pruned it. Don't need to. I do need to treat it for pests, but it likes to be dry and have lots of light. So right now, it's not upset. It probably could use a water. Gets a little water every time I water the plants, but it doesn't use a lot. I have my willow leaf ficus here, the larger of the two. It needs a prune. I'm waiting for it to recover from this last defoliation. But I need to do some branch selection and go from there. It does have new leaves that have come out recently. But I want to get this a little healthy. I want to do a repot on it because although that's been cut off in the past, it's gotten really thick. And the one that I cut off over here needs some shaping to it. So that's a new project we'll be doing soon, is repotting that. This is my Piafra lilliput. It is still quite small. All those cuttings are off of this one. So I'm letting it grow right now. It's very full on foliage. It's actually growing decently in here. I don't know if you can tell, but it does have new growth. It's coming in here. Been watering it regularly. It uses a lot of water, believe it or not. This is my crab cactus. It did have a lot of flowers on it, but I'm finding that those flowers also attract pests. So I am going to keep the flowers to a minimum, excuse me, and keep this one growing. This is my other ficus ginseng, one that was really, really awesome for a while, and now it's just a few branches. So I need to work on this as well, get it back to its former glory. It is not back budding as much as it is, just growing up near the tips. I don't know if you can tell, but there's, oh, let's focus on the terrible texture wall. There we go. It's got some buds that are a little bit farther back, but not all the way back where I need them. I need some more buds back in here to get back to where it was, like here, where I need a bud, but I don't have buds until up here. Better, but not the best. In the back here, we've got my little leaf ficus. It has been growing slow in a nice big container, but it's got to grow some more. It's just not growing fast enough, and there's no real branch selection to be done. There is a spot where there's 3 coming, but one's so weak, I'm not really concerned. This is my rubber tree cutting from inside of the fiddle fig. I put it in here, and we'll just see if it continues to have roots and grow. It hasn't had nearly enough time to recover, so I haven't expected any growth out of it, but it's been sitting pretty, getting lots of water and using water, so I assume doing all right. And that is the first shelf, jam-packed, hardly an empty space at all, and where there is, there should be probably more. These are just regular metal shelves that came with the apartment, and I put bar mats in here. So these hold the trees up. There's air under all these, lots of airflow. I even have a air purifier running 24/7 in here to keep air moving. And because of that, it also will contain any kind of spills. So when I leave for the weekend, I water these all through until this fills up with water. And then there's some evaporation, some humidity. When I come back, it's very nice and humid in here, and there's hardly ever any water left. But sometimes there's a little bit. Right now, you can't tell, but there is water in there. You might be able to see a reflection because I do water these through. All right, a real quick, not a shelf, but top of the dryer. I've got my one regular size Pacura aquatica, I think, the guana chestnut money tree. This is the fiddle fig, the bigger one with the real roots on it. Already pointed out the pomegranate. This is my dwarf weeping Barbados cherry. It's doing good. It's kind of dropping old leaves and growing new ones. All this lighter growth is from being in here. It hasn't been in here very, very long. But still, it's growing quite well. And the internodes aren't so long that I'm upset. I mean, I'd like to have real nice, tight growth, kind of the same way that that is. But still, those aren't terribly long, considering my original internodes down here. And of course, I need to work on the roots on this one too. So I need to focus. This is like my least favorite section right here. It's a real long section. Compared to all these, it's almost 3 internodes. So, still doing okay, Love to have that nice, tight, compact growth, but one thing at a time. I got to make sure the tree is healthy. So, I'm kind of letting it grow. When it gets too full, then I'll get in there and work on the roots some. But as it is now, I really want to get some good growth, some good strength in those roots so I can address this root. Oops, this root right here. It is quite thick. It's going quite down. And I'll do that, a little bit later in the winter. Right now, this tree is growing nicely. I don't want to mess that up. All right. Now, we've got the root over rock up front here. Someone asked me about my original planting on that rock. I don't know why I didn't film it. I think I might have tried to film it and had an issue. But I remember filming it, I believe. So it's growing nicely. No surprises there. There's a couple new leaves coming out, but nothing too crazy. The Wiggly Boy ficus, again, looking fine. Just growing. Lots and lots of room. No leaf drop on that, so it's nice. Right next to it here is the cutting of the fiddle ficus. One good, healthy looking leaf on it. I took the rest off. We'll see if that one continues to root. These roots that are hanging here in the air, I don't think that they made it, but I'll leave them for now. We'll see what happens. Behind that is the ficus I bought to keep at the restaurant I work at. It's actually kind of nice, quite lush. It might be that it does have a graft on there, and this top part is a different type of tree, but it's growing well. It's got nice compact growth. Of course, new leaves. You can see the lighter yellow leaves from indoors. The trunk isn't amazing, but really I just want to grow this into a big, big tree and have it as a floor plant as opposed to a, tabletop plant. It was slip potted. I think it is the source of the gnats I've gotten here, but I'm working on those as well. But that one had to come in because there's no protection for it in the upstairs of that restaurant. Right up here in front is my rubber tree. It's growing nicely. The one issue I'm having with it is that it wants to do vertical growth versus horizontal. So I don't think I've got a good bud here, but I've got a bud here and here. I'd rather those two take off than the one up there, but I'm going to let this grow. I don't want to kill it. It's got a little bit of growth up top here, and of course on this other branch it's growing nicely. You can tell I've done a lot of pruning on this. I've pruned very heavily on this, so I'd be running a very big risk if I decided to cut too much at once. The roots aren't really worked on very much, so again, I'm gonna leave that, and then I'll probably do some root work in, I don't know, a couple months here, maybe sooner if I feel like I have time. All the way here in the back, we have, this is a lemon tree grown from seed. See, it's got thorns on there. It doesn't have a whole lot of leaves. It didn't like the transition inside. You can see those little gnats. Again, trying to sort those out. But it has some leaves left. It is not dying. It's a nice twin trunk pattern. I'll probably try to do that as a sort of orchard tree. Keep it twin trunk, get some lower down branching, and just have it spread out. This is my banyan tree, Ficus bengalensis. It has been growing really slow, but I'm relieved to say that it's growing nicely actually in these grow lights. So it's got some leaves on every single branch. No branches have died. My leader is probably the second least strong, but that's okay. It's still growing. And I just need to get this thing more 3D. It's very two-dimensional. From one side, it's hardly anything. From here, it's spread out very nicely. So I'm just going to continue to work on that, see what happens. But it's looking okay. It's in the pot that I got from my mom that was already cracked. These aren't cracks. These are just part of the glaze, but it's cracked on that side. So it'll probably break this pot when it's ready for a repot, and I'll let that happen. In the back here, you can see with those finger-like roots that this is my Ficus benjamina, the variegated version. It doesn't grow very fast, but right now it looks healthy compared to what it has been in the past. So my goal is to eventually just reduce it to this one and let that grow. It's not a bad looking tree, but it is kind of a lot of funky angles. Back here, that's a very right angled angle, and even this tree coming off of the, this branch coming off of the tree is kind of a right angle. This is such a weak branch, I don't want to be able to depend on that, but I might end up keeping it when I prune this off. However, again, not very strong growth on either of those. So that'll be a when we get to it thing. Got my two little leaf ficuses here. This one had a little bit of dieback after pruning, but I've got lots of new shoots, lots of new buds coming out. I can see one right here. It's exciting. And then, of course, up top here, I think these haven't really made it. That's fine. I want it to be a very small tree. And looking back, it was much, much smaller. So I need to work on keeping that small. The other two little leaf ficus, it's growing well. The one spot where there aren't leaves, there's lots of buds. So I'm not concerned with that. It does give me hope that I can probably grow this to a larger tree someday. And at that point, this whorl where all these 8 branches are won't really make a difference because it'll be taller. Behind that, we just saw the pruning of the other Benjamina variegata. This one's variegated. It has very dark leaves, very light leaves. This one has new growth on quite a bit of it. The cuttings actually look okay right now, so I'm hoping that those make it. But this one's kind of tough to water just because it's so far back and it's such a low ceiling. Up here, I haven't shown this one in a while. This is my money tree, but I think it's a dwarf variety, and this is the banyan style one. Although looking at the general shape of this trunk, it almost looks like a bottle tree from Australia, and it'd be a funny direction to take to keep that swell in the middle there. But we'll see what happens when I pull it out of here, because there was not a great root base, but there certainly weren't any roots at the widest point of this trunk. And although it looks okay like this, maybe I should just embrace the bottle brush shape. I do suspect it's just like this one, highly tapered compared to the other one there. It still does kind of have that inverse taper down near the root base. So it might be that the same way that this one has, this one will end up with that same sort of, mostly swollen and just a little bit of taper right above the roots. I'll just have to see. I would love to get it so it has good roots. But much like this one, the roots you see aren't always the best. I'm keeping these little skinny roots to try to get them thickened up and subdivide them and help my root base. But both these grow nicely. I think you can see there's a lot of, this is a brand new leaf. This is like silky soft. New bud right there. All a bunch of new buds. This is another one-sided tree, so I will have to address that as well. Um, yeah. Oh, this is a ficus thread. It's actually a friend. I'm giving this to a friend. It's another one that I cut off of my. I think I cut it off my big one, or it might be off the top of this one. And I would like to give that to her because she expressed interest. I'm like, well, this is an easy one, but not do no repots due down here just yet. This one I'd like to work on the roots, but I really want to make it real strong and healthy. And my branching is finally getting a little bit better. I do need to repot this one and address it's got a fat root in there. You might be able to see. This one should be repotted to address any kind of planting angles, but I really want it to be stronger. Yeah. So that's my whole indoors now. It's a lot less trees than it was before. Those are just Halloween decorations with air plants. But this is all the space I've got. Now, I could have another specimen tree down here on top of the dryer, which of course I need to clean. That's for me dropping stuff. But there's no real grow light there, and I'd really like to have more of these trees directly under grow lights. These are all the ones that are too tall to fit on these shelves. I do have another bracket. I could put a bracket with a light here shining down. I would just have to replace another bulb somewhere else. But lots and lots of light in here. This is a fan light. I don't have a fan on right now, but it can blow air out if I need it. But it's very bright. I've got, this is another, and they're all LED. It's not a grow light, it's a ring light, but it's very bright. These are grow lights, so they're a different color. I hope that doesn't affect it too much, but they're nice and bright. There's two different styles here. I got these ones, and I've got the ones in between. One's facing away here. And then there's another grow light somewhere that I just don't even know where I placed it. There's so many of these. Oh yeah, right there in the back. That one, that one, that one. Depending on the angle I go at, it looks like they're turned off. Lots and lots of light in here. In fact, if I turn off the overhead light, you can hardly tell. It's still quite bright in here. That's not any shortage of brightness. The only thing is when I turn the overhead light on, it turns the fan on. So I have to get a remote and turn the fan off. Otherwise, this thing's going to get blown onto the floor and dry out too fast. That's a nice bright light. And even with these off, there's enough light to see, certainly. And maybe it makes my trees look more impressive, I'm not sure. But the combination puts a lot of light into this room. And I believe it's really good for all these trees. They all look pretty good. But this is all my indoor space. So that is my update on, well, the mistake I made with the camera. I did not keep one on its own because for the sake of space, I want to get them all into one. They didn't have the best roots. They weren't terrible. Coffee trees like to grow a lot of fine roots. But we'll just have to see how they do. And that's the pot I chose for them. It's the one I got off of JMA Ceramics. Got a couple of his in here. Hers, I don't recall gender of the person. Not that it's important. That might also be a JMA. I can't recall. This one is one of my favorite. I had my Einstein Clethra, I think, in it, or my Garnet Virginia Sweet Spire. That tree didn't make it. Didn't make it through the winter last winter. So, or sorry, didn't make it through the summer. So that's where we're at. This is the teeny tiny plant room and all my tropicals right now. I do have some plants outside, but very few. And those are all either temperate or hardy trees. So they do not need to come in. I suspect my next video will be the little leaf ficus here. Yeah, we'll do the little leaf ficus for the next video. But in the meantime, thank you all for watching. Thank you, all of you that have subscribed and commented. Thank you for all your questions. I appreciate every single one of you. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Cheers.